Kevin Feige, the man who has been running the MCU, who has gotten so much praise for the planning and orchestration of the MCU, the same Kevin Feige who has told us over and over again that they are going to push fully diversity and inclusion and representation and identity politics in phase 4 of the MCU. He has been very open about that. I don't think that maybe we've given him the real criticism that he deserved when it comes to planning, and we're starting to see that coming to fruition now as the MCU starts to fall apart in the box office, and word of mouth from so many people is that they are not interested in phase 4 of the MCU. Whether it's WandaVision, which was an absolute mess, whether it's Falcon and Winter Soldier that preached to you constantly about identity politics, even including a do better speech when freckled Jesus ends up dying, to Black Widow, which is all about, like Scarlett Johansson said, the subjugation of women. Kevin Feige's told us what phase 4 is going to be, but now what he's revealing is that maybe they haven't really been prepared like we thought they had been, a plan like so many people gave them credit for. Kevin Feige claims Marvel Studios does indeed have rules for the multiverse, despite Loki and Avengers Endgame endings and contradictions, of which there are numerous. There are so many, obviously. But the one thing that really like caught my eye with all of this was Feige responding. Now this interview comes out essentially, right after Loki ends, when they reveal the multiverse to everyone. So publicly, everyone now understands the multiverse. We've been talking about it for a long time. You'd have to think that Marvel had been planning for the multiverse for a long, long time, right? And I mean everybody, not just Kevin Feige. Feige responded, well, we used to not need one because it was really just in all our collective imaginations at the studio. Talking about a plan, basically. Talking about writing down a plan. Just before the pandemic, we started going, maybe we need a big whiteboard. And then we all went into our houses. So we still have not done that. The truth is, there is a wonderfully dedicated, creative, spectacular team at Marvel Studios and one person dedicated full-time to each project. So Mary Lavanos oversaw WandaVision. Zoe Nagelhot oversaw Falcon and the Winter Soldier from the ground every day from start to finish. Kevin Wright came up with much of what you love about Loki and was right next to Kate Herron, our director, and Tom Hiddleston the entire time. There are people whose sole task it is to keep it in their head and deliver it for us. And then we have interconnected meetings quite often about how things grow and evolve. So something will come up on one show. We'll have to sometimes call and say, well, actually, we've got to alter this. We've got to change it, but never to the detriment of the individual projects. Then he talks about the multiverse. He continued, I had a meeting this morning with the whole broad Marvel Studios team going through the multiverse and the rules of the multiverse and exactly how to really deliver on the excitement surrounding the multiverse. So you're telling us that you have one person dedicated to each project and that things that may different from everything, you're never going to let that change what happens on that individual project. Now you're telling us that for the multiverse, this big, massive thing that everyone has been talking about for so long, you just, as Loki finishes and sets the multiverse, you just have this meeting now. Are you fucking kidding me? You have a movie called Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. Yet you just now had a big call and gave everybody the ground rules for the multiverse? Like, what is going on over there? That is what I do not understand. You have Spider-Man, the third Spider-Man movie, which is going to introduce the other two Spider-Men and all these different villains. All this shit is happening. And you haven't had a discussion with your team about the multiverse. And this is what I mean by maybe this all wasn't as planned out as we thought it was from the beginning. Maybe when you had Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, when they teased Adam Warlock, and Adam Warlock never came to be. Twice they teased him. End of Guardians 1, end of Guardians 2. Adam Warlock doesn't appear during the Infinity Saga. That is sacrilege, to be quite honest, that they didn't bring Adam Warlock in. Maybe when you change what the third Captain movie was about to be and instead made it Civil War, because maybe that's because you got the game plan for what the DC universe was trying to do. And all of a sudden, That makes it a lot like Batman v Superman, and Infinity War and Endgame seem a lot like Justice League and what happens in those storyboards for Justice League that they made up back in 2013. All of a sudden, Kevin Feige changes course, makes Civil War, and then has Infinity War and Endgame. Maybe we've been giving this person way too much credit. Maybe we've been giving Marvel way too much credit. Maybe they got lucky to get this far. But now that they are here, they are taking the opportunity to do just what we said, right? Push diversity, representation, inclusion, LGBTQ plus characters ahead of everything else, ahead of telling a good story, something that makes sense, something that honors the legacy and the lore and the fans who respect it. No, instead, this is what Kevin Feige is focusing on. So again, maybe we gave this man too much credit the entire time. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.